DC is entering its greatest era right now. With James Gunn's Superman setting up the next big cinematic universe, we are finally going to get to see all these great characters done right on the big screen. We will finally have the definitive DC film continuity where Batman and Superman will interact as friends and as teammates. The two most recognizable superheroes of our time will be done justice in the same film universe. Except there's just one little problem. That Batman isn't in the same world as this Superman. The plan as of now is to create another entirely different Batman to fit into James Gunn's DCU. Meanwhile, Matt Reeves' The Batman 2 still isn't coming out for another 2 years. Are we really gonna recast Batman again for the 8th time to fit him into the new DC world? Are we really gonna have 2 actors, 2 Batman worlds going on at around the same time? No matter what they choose to do, they're in a tough situation here. Do they force 2 worlds together that weren't originally supposed to be combined? Or do they redo Batman all over again, risking it being a disappointment even while we have a great version right there? This is the DCU Batman Problem. If they stick with the current plan to recast Batman all over again, part of me would be pretty disappointed, because right now fans are loving Robert Pattinson's Batman and David Corenswet's Superman. These 2 characters are finally getting great films in the same era, but these 2 versions will never meet? Are we really supposed to accept that? An 8th Batman adaptation separate from Matt Reeves' world is the most likely option right now, but how would this ever work? Imagine if the Batman 2 comes out in 2027 and the DCU Batman comes out within the next year, or even 3 years after that. There is zero doubt in my mind that there would be arguments among fans over which one of these Batman films is better and which one should be in the DCU. Also, Matt Reeves' Batman seems pretty hard to beat. Like, this is not a failed reboot by any means. His franchise will remain very popular, and it would be awful to reboot Batman again in the same 5-year span just to hear complaints that it wasn't as inspired as Reeves' version. It's also an impossible task to get fans excited for 2 different Batman universes at the same exact time, and it's a branding nightmare. The next Batman can't be too similar to this one, because that would feel pointless and nobody would get excited for the DCU version over the last one. It also can't be too different, because that would miss the mark for what audiences like about the character right now. The next Batman would be at a disadvantage before it ever even comes out. This could also cheapen the excitement for what Matt Reeves has coming in his sequel. If another different Batman goes on to meet Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern, and so on, I think Pattinson's Batman would end up feeling underwhelming. No matter how good that sequel is, it would be spoiled by the other Batman in the larger DC world. That's just how it is. 2 Batman worlds at the same time is not possible without it feeling like a competition, and one of these versions will inevitably end up disappointing. I think Spider-Man's journey in film is comparable to the current Batman situation. These are both heroes who have had their origin story shown to us multiple times, to the point where we don't need to see it redone anymore. The current Batman is most like Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, because both of these versions skipped the origin story. But if Pattinson stays out of a larger DC world, he would actually be more similar to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Even though I like that version, Tobey Maguire was the original, and Tom Holland is the one in the great big MCU, which just leaves Andrew as the one in the middle. Now imagine if Garfield's Spider-Man series continued during and after Tom Holland already appeared in Captain America Civil War and Homecoming. That is how ridiculous it would be to have another new Batman at the same time as Pattinson. It's obviously not a perfect comparison. There's only been 3 Spider-Men compared to the 7 Batmen so far, but it still makes sense to view the legacy of this Batman in this way. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson. That's way too many versions to have this one end up as just another closed-off Gotham City. No matter how well done it is, we already got an incredible grounded Batman trilogy from Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale. Now what we need is a Batman who interacts with a larger DC world. Now is the time for a Batman similar to the approach of MCU Spider-Man. It would be a shame if Pattinson's Batman legacy went underappreciated because it was just stuck in between the 2 versions in connected universes. It would be a shame because this is a Batman with so much potential. When I first watched The Batman back in March of 2022, I was initially a little disappointed because of some of the things I've mentioned. It seemed unnecessary to me when it's just another grounded, realistic Gotham City. To me, it wasn't different enough to warrant another reboot, and I also felt that this Bruce Wayne was another shallow, underdeveloped interpretation. But in the last 3 years, I've started to appreciate this version so much more. First of all, this Batman character is actually great. His arc in this film is phenomenal, where he starts out claiming to be vengeance, but after his experiences with Catwoman and the Riddler, who also claim to be vengeance themselves, Batman learns that he needs to be something more than that. The people of Gotham need a symbol of hope, and that's what he can become, instead of just a man to fear. The more I think about this arc, the more I love this Batman film. The world that Matt Reeves created here is also fantastic, although it is another dark and grounded one. The always dark and rainy environment is perfect for a story about extreme corruption and a decaying society. It also sets up Batman to have his best detective story yet, which is something that sets this film apart. There's nothing fantastical about this world. Every character is expressed through realism. Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin, and Batman are not freaky caricatures. They're just people, some of whom have gone a bit insane. The point I'm getting at is that there's no hint anywhere in this film that there are superpowered people in this world. It's just a gloomy, hopeless city that could exist within our world. And that is the part that would start some trouble if they retroactively combine this film's world with another. James Gunn's Superman is a fantastic reboot that didn't need any time to grow on me. It is my favorite version of Superman yet, and I don't see that changing. This is a character who believes in hope, truth, justice, and helping as many people as possible. This is a character who loves, who messes up, but keeps moving forward because he is human like anyone else, despite being a super powerful being from another planet. This is a Superman that I will love following for the next many years, and his journey in his first appearance was really special. The world building in this film is also amazing. It really launches the audience into a world very unlike our own, where the people there are already used to superheroes and monsters showing up extremely often. This is a world already occupied by a Green Lantern leading the Justice Gang, as well as Superman for the last 3 years. It's easy to assume that metahumans would inhabit every single city and country on this Earth, which makes it extremely hard to imagine this Gotham on the same planet as Metropolis. We'll come back to that. The world building of this movie is not only perfect for a film centered around Superman, but it's great for setting up a future where we will see characters like The Flash, Wonder Woman, and even Martian Manhunter. This film already has the doors open for any wild, otherworldly possibilities in the future. And the tone, thanks to that, is lighthearted and wacky. This is a fun, colorful new world to dive into, and that is the opposite from what the Batman was. You might immediately shut down the idea of the Batman in this world because of those wildly different tones, and I understand that because that's my first reaction as well. However, opposite tones combining is not a bad thing. When it comes to Superman and Batman, that's the whole appeal. These heroes have always been the two furthest ends of the superhero spectrum. They are opposites when it comes to the scale of their battles, their power levels, and the tone of their stories. And this is why the two characters together is so good. They have vastly different experiences, perspectives, and skill sets, but when they team up, they are the world's finest. Superman is the ultimate optimist, and Batman is the ultimate cynic, but in the end, they fight for the same thing, to save and protect. Superman is the most powerful, and Batman has no powers, but when he provides his expert plan, they are unstoppable as a team. The two heroes couldn't be more different, and that's what makes them great together. Their opposing attitudes that come from the different tones is what would make their interactions so incredibly interesting. And superhero crossovers are magic because of the combination of those tones. So this shouldn't be seen as an obstacle at all. Now, why is it that Snyder's version of the two meeting fell so flat? Well, firstly because he thought it would be cool to have them try to kill each other, but mostly because they didn't have two different tones. Both Superman and Batman in this world were dark, brooding, hopeless characters, and both Metropolis and Gotham were gloomy, depressing, realistic cities. The essential differences of the characters were completely missing in this version. Their dynamic never would have become interesting because they weren't different enough. Snyder treated Superman like a god and Batman like a monster, never giving either of them a chance to feel like actual heroes to Earth. Different tones was never the issue with combining these characters. You can combine the darkest hero with the most lighthearted hero, and it can work. And that is what we now have with Gunn's Superman and Reeves' Batman. But the issue is the world building that has already been done. Each of these films had perfect world building specifically for their character, but they're not compatible with each other. The sad truth is that these two worlds could never work together. This Gotham could never be on the same planet as this Metropolis. It would never be believable that you could drive down the highway from Metropolis to Gotham, and now there's no giant kaijus or interdimensional starfish anymore. It would never work to say that one city is overrun by metahumans and monsters, while the other is exclusively filled with normal people and ground-level stakes. Is that what they did in the comics for years? I'm sure it is. But I could never buy that for the cinematic universe. Retroactively making The Batman the first film in the DCU would never work, because they already established that metahumans have been on this Earth for 3,000 years. It would undermine what Matt Reeves built in his film to say that right down the street, there are alien invasions every other day. This is really unfortunate that these two worlds can't seem to fit together, because the two characters we have right now seem absolutely perfect. I would love to see Pattinson's Batman and Cornsweat's Superman become friends and teammates. I think their connection could be incredible to watch, but with the two distinctly different worlds that were set up, I don't think this will ever happen. We will just have to watch and wait for another all-new Batman. Or we will watch a miracle happen, where they manage to convince us that these two cities exist on the same planet. Whatever they choose to do, I just really hope it doesn't get in the way of the momentum that the new Superman set up. There is so much to look forward to in the DC world, and I just hope they make the right decision for this Batman problem.